What's up, what's up? I got my guy, Mr. Willie Pickens with me today. I'm gonna make it to a Millie with Dog podcast. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Okay. My name is Willie Pickens. I'm owner-operator of East Chicago Pizza here in Marion, Ohio.
Yeah, Mr. Willie Pickens, he's a vet in the game, one of my mentors in the game also. I remember probably it's been about 10 years now. I remember Mr. Willie Pickens told me, man, if you in this game, gotta be in it for the long haul.
That's a fact.
Huh.
Yes, sir. They usually don't happen overnight, so you gotta take your time and be slow and just be on your game.
Yep. And like I said, I cut Mr. Willie Pickens by every other week, and man, the talks we had has gotten me through a lot through my business, and he just got so much insight on entrepreneurship. Not even that, just life in general. So, how'd you get started, Mr. Willie Pickens?
Well, I'll tell you, I spent 21 years in the Navy and retired and came back to Marion and went to work at North Central Prison and quickly decided that, I needed to do something else. And so I always enjoyed baking, been doing it most of my life. So I opened up the donut shop. A lot of you remember the donut factory on North Main and Fairground Street where our first business started. And from there we just kept trying and growing until we got to where we are today, and it's been up and down process. I think probably more ups and downs, but the main thing is just never quit trying. Just never give up, because out of everything there's a way. You just have to be patient and find it.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that's something we talk about all the time, is never giving up. And because eventually I feel like if you just stay consistent and persistent, you're gonna find your way.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're operating with a vision in your mind that you have, this is a goal. This is, I'm at point A, I want to get to point B. All right. Your initial vision of how you're going to get to point B might not, come to fruition, but you got to always stay focused on getting to that point B, no matter what happens. You may fall down 5 times. You may have to get back up 5 times. But the goal to get where you want to get to should never change. It should always stay the same. That focus, no matter what, should always continue.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the words y'all hearing right now. You better listen to this man, because like I said, he done seen me through about 10 businesses.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head right there. You can't, just because the first one didn't make it, didn't come the way you wanted it to, doesn't mean you're a failure. Does not mean you're a failure. Because out of every time that you think you failed, you really didn't. All you did was learn. Mm-hmm. So a failure is an opportunity to learn. If you want to call it a failure, I call them setbacks, because there's no wall tall enough, no river deep enough or wide enough that you can't figure out how to get across, under or over. You just have to have the drive to want to do it, the initiative to want to do it. It's just got to be there, because if you don't, it's just, all you're going to do is stand on the outside of that riverbank and try to figure it out. That's all you're going to do.
So what was your childhood like, Mr. Willie Pickens? Like, was you always an entrepreneur? Or?
Well, I think entrepreneurship is something that is born into people a lot of times. And there's people who just, I think, maybe get that drive, but, from being a little kid selling worms on the corner of Mark and Valentine, I think entrepreneurship is something that is a part of who you are from very young. You always have that drive to want to do it. And you got it bad when no matter who or what you're doing or who you're working for, you're always trying to figure out how you can do it and make it make money for yourself doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I tell you a quick story. I worked for a vending company years back, and it was funny because I got to talk to a few people who came in and sold it to machines about how I could get my own machines, start my own vending business. And the word got out to the owners of the company, and they quickly let me know they didn't appreciate it. But you know, but you're always trying to figure out, you know, man, if I'm doing this for you, I can do this for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that entrepreneur bug is a very strong bug. I mean, if you've been bitten by it and you have it, you just constantly have that drive.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah. And that's one thing, like you said, once you have it, it's hard to build for anybody else because you're just always wondering, and not in a sneaky way, like you trying to snake them out of a situation, but it's like you see with how you can make the system better, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I can do this myself. Why am I, you know? Because I think the key to the financial success in life, to me, it's my own personal opinion, is doing it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you know I look at like NBA stars and football stars, and I look at how much they're getting paid, and I'm always thinking to myself, if they're paying, you know, I use Michael Jordan because for my time frame, they're paying him, you know, $25 million a season. Think how much that owner's making a season.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so I mean, that's how I think and look at things. It's not necessarily, you know, from my level, but the level above me. That's where I always want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is to get to that point.
Well, I know you're a busy guy because I see you up around town all the time. Like, what's your typical day look like?
Well, I'll tell you, my day starts about 6:30 in the morning. I get up and I actually drive for a company called RAM. I drive a bus for them, but I do that because I have some personal reasons that I enjoy doing it, so I do it. But after that, I'm usually engaged in business at the shop from about 9 o'clock till, I usually get out of there about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
But you know, I tell you, one thing about that is if you truly find the thing that you love doing, and I tell people all the time, most self-made millionaires aren't millionaires based on doing a job, it's based on doing something that they love to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's what is it that, yeah, I don't mind getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and the next thing I know, and I do this, and the next thing I know it's 8 o'clock at night, and I feel like I did not work today. I feel like what I did was just fun.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have that kind of passion for something, by all means, I think you should pursue it. If if it's building a model ships and putting them online and selling them, if you just enjoy that and so much that you got to do that more than anything else, you'll probably be pretty successful doing it because it's not work, it's enjoyment, it's fun. Like I said, most self-made millionaires made their millions based on enjoyment, what they enjoy doing.
Yeah. And I think that's a topic that I always hit with every interviewee on the podcast is everybody says the same thing. Like, I never bring it up. Everybody says the same thing. If you find something you love doing, like, I think people think too hard about what they're trying to pursue, and more than likely the thing, like you said, find something you like actually doing, because it's not going to feel like you're working, and you're going to find a way to stick with it for the long haul.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I know a guy who does builds garages and barns, and he and I was talking one day, and he was sitting down, and we were talking about his retirement. He wanted to retire out of business and get out. And he was talking about his hobby, and his hobby was collecting guns that did not work and fixing them. That's what he enjoyed doing.
Okay.
And he said, you know what? I think I could retire and buy guns and fix them and sell them online. I said that's the entrepreneur in you. You cannot help yourself. You just can't stop it. It's like, here's a guy who wants to retire, but I'm going to take this hobby that I enjoy doing and make money with it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the true essence of an entrepreneur. You just, no matter how hard you try, you just like always end up in another venture.
Yeah.
It's just like, how did I get to this one? You know, it's just, and again, it's one of those things that you just enjoy. It does not work. You enjoy doing it. You enjoy remodeling or rebuilding those guns. And so you said, I can make money rebuilding these guns. It's just amazing to me all the time.
Yeah. So, like I said, I know you're a big inspiration in my life. What would you tell like a starting entrepreneur, like trying to find their way? What would you tell them?
I think the first thing is find something that you enjoy, something that's not work. I think the second thing I would tell a person is take very small bites. I think one of the biggest mistakes young entrepreneurs who start out, including myself, they want to build the London Bridge overnight. You know, instead of building a small bridge, you know, a pedestrian bridge, you want to build a huge bridge. Start out with that pedestrian bridge. Go slow. That's probably the main two things I would say is to find something that you enjoy doing and to go slow.
Okay.
You know? And I think the other thing is that I always tell people all the time, and I use this in my life, is don't try to reinvent the wheel. And one of the things that I think that you're very smart at is if I don't know the answer, I'm going to go ask somebody. Mm-hmm. And so to young entrepreneurs who are just getting started, find you a mentor. Find somebody that's been down that road before, because there's no sense in you trying to reinvent the wheel. Because for the most part, what you've gone through, they've already been through. So if you listen and take their word and listen to their advice, you can avoid those pitfalls, those bumps in the road that they hit, because they already hit them. So I always tell people all the time, don't try to reinvent the wheel that's already been invented. Mm-hmm. You know, if you know somebody that's got a similar business or just in business, ask them. Hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what's going on, what do you think could be the call? Probably, 9 times out of 10, they can help you. Yeah. Or at least send you in the right direction to find the right answer. That would probably be my biggest worry for anybody who just getting started.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing in entrepreneurship. Like, everybody wants to say they got out the mud and they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, which you do essentially. And it wasn't like me and Mr. Willie Pickens came to a consensus like, yeah, you're gonna be my mentor from here on out. Just from over time, the last 10 years, just talking to him every couple weeks is just like, okay, what he said last time made sense, and then something else happened. Dang, what he said that time, it worked. So it just, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you my mentor, Mr. Willie Pickens, but it's just over time, it's like his advice is always good advice. It's never led me in the wrong direction. So it's like, why not, you know what I'm saying? Like he said, his mistakes he made in his years, that he can guide me and bypass, that I can bypass in these situations. So it's like I said, find you somebody that kind of is doing what you already trying to do, that's accomplished it. And like I said, you ain't gotta be with him every day. Like I said, I see him every couple of weeks, and it's just, you know what I'm saying, I'll tell him what I'm going through, or he tell me what's going on, and sometimes he do all the talking, sometimes I do all the talking, but it's just, you gotta learn to listen. You got, in order to lead, you gotta know how to follow and listen.
That's right. That's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah, and when you ask people for advice, you listen, don't feel like you're obligated, because it might not work for you.
Yeah.
It might not. Well, okay, I hear what you're saying, but because I've been accused of being from the show me state. Sometimes I'll hear you, and I got it made up my mind. No, I'm gonna try it this way. Mm-hmm. I know what you're saying, but I'm still gonna do it this way. Usually I run into a brick wall, and I do that to myself. But at least you know that it didn't work. Well, that didn't work, and maybe I should have listened. But don't always feel like you're 100% obligated. But don't also be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Don't ever be afraid to ask. Mm-hmm. Because that is probably the biggest thing that you can do to help yourself is to ask. If you don't know the answer or you're having an issue with something, ask somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, I know. Yeah, just because I said I listen to him most of the time don't mean I listen to him all the time. I didn't bump my head, you know. But that's the thing about being an entrepreneur, because at the end of the day, you trying to figure out how you can do it. Like you said, it's not reinventing the wheel, but you trying to figure out how you can do it better than somebody else did it. And just because they bumped their head, don't mean I'm gonna bump my head. But like you said, 7 times out of 10, you might still bump your head. But you might figure out the way after you bump your head, you gonna figure it out, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes you gotta bump your head just okay, now I know. Don't do that again.
I guarantee you, I'd say 9 times out of 10, you're gonna fall down.
Yeah.
You're gonna fall in the dirt. I said the beautiful thing about the dirt, and I tell people this, is you can get up and brush it off.
Yeah.
You can pat yourself down, knock that dirt off, and keep on going.
Yeah.
You know, and 9 times out of 10, that dirt that you knocked off, 5 years from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, people are not gonna even realize you fell down.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna say, well, he's doing good, or she's doing good. What they're gonna say, they aren't gonna see all the stuff that you've been through. You know?
Yeah, and that's one thing I talk about all the time. Is like, all you gotta, it don't matter how many times you was wrong, you only gotta be right once.
Yeah.
And that being right once is gonna take care of all them. They're not gonna remember that all them other times.
Correct. Yeah.
So as we wrapping up the haircut, like, what's one thing? Like, how do you keep yourself going every day, man? You, like I said, you've been doing this for 20, 30 years. How do you keep yourself going every day?
I just stay focused. You know, I'm a firm believer in the fact that I'm the type of person that I'm 5 years out, 6 years out for what I want to do all the time. So I think that the main thing is to set goals and to set point goals. And what I mean by point goals is, okay, in 1 year, this is where I want to be in. And, you know, 3 years, this is where I want to be in. In 6 years, and you always keep working toward those points. As long as you got those out there, once you lose the ability to plan a goal or to work toward a goal, you're going to be finished. Because then you have nothing to get up and go for. So always have goals, always have a plan to get to that goal. You know, in business, one of the things that they say is that you're supposed to review your business plan once every year. All right, and that couldn't be even more true. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just numbers you're reviewing. It could be just the plan. How am I getting to point B? How am I getting to point C? Am I on track to get to point C? If I'm not, what am I doing wrong? And let's reevaluate what we're doing so we can get back on track. So always evaluate. Always take a look at where you're at and where you're going. And always keep long-term goals in your mind.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I want to thank Mr. Willie Pickens for doing a segment on Make It To A Millie with Dog. And stay tuned. We're going to drop this interview real soon.
All right. Be safe. Be blessed.